to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And I am back once again. It is Wednesday morning, and I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. Thought I'd hop on here real quick. Should have been on over the weekend, but as usual, I did not make my own timeline that I set up. So it is Wednesday, though, and I'm here, and we got a couple things to talk about anyhow. Lots has been happening here at the Patriot Defense Range. We got all the men's and the women's academies. They are kicked off. They are running at full bore. We are just waiting for that time change so that we can get out and shoot. That time change, I think, takes place. I think I looked it up on Google today, and I think that time change is happening on like the 8th or the 9th of next month. So right around the corner. Just got to finish off this month, and we should be good to go. My group so far, great, fantastic groups I got this year. Seems like everyone's pretty solid and pretty, rounded out real well. My beginners, women's beginners group, good group of ladies. They all want to be there. They all want to learn. That's my fullest class, so I'm looking forward to that. And then my men's group, my women's advanced group, they are just solid. I think we're going to get lots accomplished this season. What normally happens is, I have a plan set out as far as when I do these academy classes that we start, at the very beginning and we work our way through. And occasionally I'll get a pretty good dialed in a group of students, and we're able to kind of move on things a little quicker. And so a couple of the classes, we've already kind of started working on the draw. I know we haven't even gone out and shot yet, and there'll be a little bit of, shifting it into reverse a little bit when we go out to shoot, because we do have to make sure all those fundamentals are dialed in. But we've done dry fire stuff in the classroom. We've worked from the holster in the classroom, unloaded guns, obviously. And as we go forward, hopefully we can move a little quicker than normally. I know in my men's group especially, they will be working out of the holsters like probably within the next month or so, which usually the holster thing doesn't take place till probably June or July, just depending on the group and how well they all work together. I know as an instructor, sometimes I feel kind of bad because I don't always feel like I feel like some of the students are thinking we aren't moving as quickly as we should. And sometimes that's true, but what people don't understand or what they fail to realize as an instructor, I need everyone to be safe. And so we always have to move at this, or we always have to teach to the speed of the lowest common denominator in the class. And I know that sounds really rude, but sometimes people are brand new. I mean, these are classes where brand new people, sign up for them, and that's fine. That's what they're there for. But they sign up for them as well as, more experienced people. And so we have to make sure that the new people to firearms are up to speed before we can fully carry on with everything that we need to be doing, before we can get into some of the more advanced stuff or the higher speed type of stuff. But this year, I think we're pretty squared away. I enjoy all the academies that I do every year, but I'm really excited about this year's academies. I don't know. I think we're going to get real far, and we're going to do lots of cool things, and I look forward to that. Bunch of good people, both men and women, signed up for those this year, so very, very, very good. I had a permit class over the weekend. That went well. Went off without a hitch. I had to bounce around for the last, probably 3 or 4 months. I had to bounce around my schedule of when I do the class as far as, not when I hold the class, but the schedule of said class during the class. I had to switch my shooting portion from the afternoon to the morning to the just bounce it around based on the schedule of the law enforcement officer that could teach the class, which is fine. He's required to be here, so I'm kind of at his mercy a little bit. And so, but we are back to normal. We are back to doing the classroom portion in the morning. The law enforcement officer comes in at 9. He does his thing. Then I finish up my stuff. I get everyone out to lunch at 12:30. They're back by 1:30, and we're typically shooting by 2 o'clock. So we are back to the normal schedule that I've been using now for the last 15-ish years, which is kind of nice. I enjoy consistency. I enjoy a schedule, and I'm not much when it comes to change. I'm just not. This is the way I want it. So this is. I know it works. I know it's kind of a fail-safe, and so that's good for me. Now, what do I got coming up? Now I've got some more classes. I have not got them the schedule out for them yet. Every year, I try to do group classes. Group classes that I set up, not that someone calls into me and says, hey, I want to do a private group class. The group class, I do those as well, but I also try to set up, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this on these dates, once a month, whatever. If you want to sign up, and we can go from there type of situation. And so I've got some of those laid out. I have not made them public knowledge yet. I'm just kind of like finalizing them as we go here. And once I get that, hopefully in the next little bit, I'll get those classes out and scheduled and get them all figured out. And I think they're going to be classes where they build. You build, one class builds on the next, builds on the next, builds on the next. So we'll see how that goes. Those are hard to do around here. I know I've set up numerous times before, but those kind of classes are hard to set up because it's hard to get people to sign up for those group classes like that. I don't know why, but around here it seems to be pretty difficult. And so I do them, but I don't put a whole lot of faith that they're going to fill up. I just don't. Most of my stuff's done in the permit classes and private stuff and the men's and women's shooting academies. Maybe someday everything will fill up. All the classes will fill up. And this will be a more lucrative enterprise for me, and my wife will be happier. There you go. Maybe that's not that I'm going anywhere, but it is a business. It has to make money, and I just got to try every year to figure out how to make it make more money. That's just the way that it works around here. So, every year I try to go out, I try to buy something that helps improve the range, helps improve training, a training tool, a training aid, tries to make my shooting range stand out at the best that I can. And this year, I looked at it last year and I just didn't feel it, and I just didn't necessarily, excuse the pun, pull the trigger on it. But this year I did, and I have purchased a moving target for the range. Now I've had this thing for a couple weeks now, probably like 3 weeks now, and everyone's like, "Oh, when you get?" Some people know about it, and they're like, "Well, when are you going to set that up? When are you going to set that up?" Well, it's pretty I won't say it's super complex, but it's going to take some time to set up. And it's a moving target. It runs on cables. It's got a remote. Like, it's a whole thing. So I got to look at my range, and it's somewhat portable, but it's like I still have to have the infrastructure set up to be able to run this moving target. It's not something that's going to stay on the range all the time. Obviously, it's electronic type stuff. It's affected by the weather, so I'll have to take it inside when I'm not using it, but I have to set up the infrastructure. It's not something I can just decide one day I'm going to have a class tomorrow, and so you better get out there and rig up the cables, rig up the posts, all this stuff, and just do it overnight and have it ready for the next day. That's not the way this works. The way this stuff works is I actually have to put the posts in. I need to almost permanently attach the cable, and I have to plan, like, how do I want this moving target to run? It runs on pulleys and stuff like that. So it actually attaches to this carriage that hangs off this cable that runs back and forth, left or right, right? And so I have to figure out exactly where I'm going to want this thing, and do I want it to go north-south, north-south, or west to east, east to west, and do I want to set up two situations where it can do that in? And it's a whole thing, and I tried to kind of quickly set up something to see if I could get it to work with some metal T-posts, and obviously that, I mean, I knew it wasn't going to work, but you got to try it. And obviously that did not work, as I have to create so much tension on the cable that the cart runs on that it started bending the T-post in half. I thought the T-post would rip out of the ground. Also, I was pretty impressed. I thought the T-posts themselves would like rip out of the ground, but instead it just started bending the T-post in half. So there's that. That is not going to work. Now I went and I've got to get some big posts and some post mix, and I got to permanently put some stuff in the ground, which is fine. It just takes money, I can handle posts and post mix. It's not a problem, but it just takes a little bit of time, and I got to find the time to get it done, let everything set up. I got to decide if that's exactly where I want them. This is not something you're going to just move around really easy. So there's that. I know a couple people know, they're like, well, we don't believe you have that target. We haven't seen it yet. Well, there's some stuff that's got to happen for it to be put into use. So I'm working on it, people. I am working on it. But when I get that up and running, it'll be a good addition to some classes and some different things. And I do look forward to using that. I've thought on it for a year, and it could be very beneficial to some training. And I'm already coming up in my head with scenarios that I can use it on. So you'll see that in the near future, hopefully. What else was I going to chat back today? I talked about this in the past. I'm always modifying my holsters. And the other day, a clip that I had on my holster, on my appendix holster, it's been too stretched out. This has been on this holster for 10 years now. And it's not even a metal clip. It is a plastic clip, but it's worked great. So I've been using it, and the other night I was embarrassed as I was teaching the draw in the men's group class, and this is a funny on me, and I'll say it is what it is. This is why you constantly want to use your equipment, and you want to maintain your equipment. But I put the holster on. I was using a blue gun, safety. I was using a blue gun. I slid that blue gun into that holster, went to demonstrate the draw. The clip had stretched out so much that for the first time in my life, the first time in that holster's life, it came, when I went to draw the gun, it came out with the gun. And when I drew the gun, the holster was still attached to said firearm, and everyone got a good laugh about it. I kind of went, crap. But everyone else got a good laugh at it, and I was a little embarrassed. But since then, I have solved the problem. In fact, I just solved it yesterday. I went online and I found some Ulta clips, Ulta Clip XL. Now, typically, Ulta clips, and if you want to see what this looks like, by the way, go to the Patriot Defense Facebook page and you can take a look at it and see how it works. So, Ulta clips are these clips that you can attach to your holsters that kind of ratchet into position. And they originally made them for the fact that you could actually put your holster on and clip it on. It would bite onto your pants or your clothing, and it wouldn't necessarily need a belt. In fact, they're pretty thin. They wouldn't even go over a belt. But now they have these Ulta Clips XLs, and they are made to actually go over your belt, but then they lock into place. So that's pretty cool. And it actually works out really, really, really well. And I put some pictures up of it on the Facebook page last night. So check it out. I did some draws with it. It seems to hold really well. The holster just holds position. I mean, it's pretty solid in there. So I'm impressed. Now, I also posted a picture of me with my holster and a drill. and modifying these things and making them work for you. And that seems to be a big motto over the last 2 or 3 months for me. It's been a motto for me for the last however many years I've been carrying a gun and using holsters and modifying. I may not modify the guns a bunch. I mean, I put dots on them and stuff. I don't get in and tinker with the interior parts of a firearm unless I'm changing out a trigger. But give me a holster and I'll modify the piss out of it. Modify that thing so well that it works for me and does exactly what I want. And if it doesn't, I'll just go buy another one. But typically, all you need to modify these things is, you can go on Amazon and you can buy a whole little set. It's like $20 of holster screws and special Chicago screws and rubber pads and all kinds of inset screws and stuff like that, all different sizes. And then you can take a drill and you can modify your holster. You can find a clip that you want to use. And I tell everyone, they're like, this holster is uncomfortable. Well, make it work for you. Don't be afraid to get in there and adjust it. Change the angle of the clip. Get a clip that works for you. Drill some holes in it. Adjust the cant. Take a Dremel tool. It's got a rough, pointy spot that rubs you wrong when you wear it. Fix it. Fix it. It's not that hard. In fact, I think it's something everybody should do. If you made it more comfortable, you'd probably, you shouldn't, the whole carrying a gun, the feeling of carrying a gun shouldn't totally go away, right? This is a whole comforting versus comfortable type of situation. But if it flat out hurts you or doesn't work for you or your holster falls off, get in there and fix it and make it work. Adjust it. It's the only way to take care of that. So, this time of year, we have all the states are having what they call their legislative sessions. And it's no different this year. That's what's going on right now in lots of states and in my states. And you always look for those gun bills. Now, last podcast, I went over a whole set of gun bills or gun legislation, good gun legislation for pro-gun legislation for the state of Idaho. There's a whole big list of them. Now, they've introduced a couple of them. Let me get my phone here. I actually saved some notes on this. There's some pretty good pro-gun legislation in the state of Idaho right now. And the two that they've introduced, which I hope they introduce some more, but the two that they've introduced, there's one that talks about campus carry, and I think we talked about that last time, but with the enhanced permit, as of now, you can carry on college campuses, just nowhere on that campus that is either a living quarter or is seats more than 1,000 people. And this new bill would actually get in there and tweak that and change that. And I think that we've proven that there's not going to be any problems with this, and we've earned that, which we should never have to earn your trust to practice self-defense, but we've earned that trust, and they should just give it to us now. So we'll see. And the other one is what we call S1298, S1298, and it is the Stand Your Ground Shield Act. And this is interesting. I'm going to read this to you. Let me look here. This is from the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. They put this on their Facebook page, so go check them out if you're in the state of Idaho, or if you're anywhere and you just want to know what this is. It says, if you act lawfully to protect yourself or your family, the government should not be allowed to destroy your life afterwards. S1298 creates real, enforceable immunity for Idahoans who use justified force. No more arrests based on politics or pressure. No more prosecutors letting a jury sort it out when the law already says the defender did nothing wrong. Under this bill, officers cannot arrest you for justified self-defense unless a judge signs a warrant based on an actual evidence that you acted unlawfully. And if the state gets it wrong, S1298 forces a fast-track immunity hearing, requires dismissals when the force was justified, and for the first time makes the government reimburse your legal costs when you are cleared. That means attorney fees, lost wages, and other expenses the state forced you to incur simply for defending yourself. This bill also mandates automatic expungement, so innocent people aren't haunted by an arrest record for the rest of their lives. I think this is absolutely fantastic, and I know that there's local prosecuting attorneys for the county, and other people go, no, this is not a good bill. This is not a good bill. These small towns can't afford that. Well, then you better make sure what you're doing is legal. You better look at everything and make sure that here's what it's protecting from. It's protecting from a anti-gun individual, whether that be a prosecuting attorney or an anti-gun judge or an anti-gun mayor, governor, or some political anti-gun town, right? Getting in here and forcing a trial, forcing a case when the person was within their rights. Because, some of those people might go, well, he was within his rights, but we're going to force this case because we're going to do what? In a roundabout way, we are going to punish this guy for practicing his rights and exercising his rights and being within the law and within his rights, defending himself and his family or whatever it might be. And they're still going to drag out a case and punish you by making you do what? Miss wages, have to pay all the fees, all the court costs, just ruining your life regardless, just because you exercised your Second Amendment rights and protected yourself. That's not right. Like that's not right. It's going to make sure that if you have to go to court, that they have a solid case on you, not just a let's see what we can get away with type of thing, that they have a solid case against you, that they can say, well, there's a pretty good chance you didn't act within the law, you didn't act within your rights, that you weren't legally supposed to do what you did. Then they can take you to court. Right now, it's they can just do it. And so I like this a lot. And I don't care if it's going to bankrupt little towns. That makes no difference to me. You shouldn't go in and you shouldn't make up, I don't want to say make up, but you shouldn't force someone to go to court just to defend themselves for exercising their Second Amendment rights and then ruin their life afterwards just to have them not be guilty and be found, cleared. So I like that a lot. And if you do go, they can still take you and do that. But if they do, you're gonna be reimbursed wages, reimbursed all that stuff I just read off. I don't see how this is a bad one. Now, I don't know if it'll make it. I mean, that's a big ask. Like that's going to take some heavy lifting to get that through, because everyone likes to classify the gun owner as bad. We are bad, and we're always bad. And I look in, and I'm not familiar with other states. Okay, I mean, I can imagine in other states, but I look at, I think, was it last year? What brought this to be, this whole bill to be, was don't remember the guy's name, but there was a guy that legally defended himself, I believe, in Idaho last year, up in the Boise area, and he was dragged through court. He legally was able to do what he did, and he legally defended himself. He was within his rights. He was within the law, and he went to court and he was declared. He was cleared. He was cleared. He was justified. He came out justified in his favor, and he was just ran through the ringer. And it won't say it ruined his life, but it didn't help his life at all. It caused him tons and tons and tons of hardship. And I believe what it was there was a anti-gun prosecuting attorney or someone like that said, you're not going to get away with this. We're going to make an example of you. And that's exactly why what this bill is made to accomplish, is made to stop, is made to fight against. So I keep my fingers crossed that this one goes through, that this one makes it. This is a good one, and it is a strong one. It really help give the stand your ground law a big time teeth in the state of Idaho. It really would, because I've had people in class that be like, well, I can legally defend myself, but man, if I go to court, I can't afford this. If I have to use it, I can't afford this. There should be no wavering in your mind that, hey, look, someone kicked open my door at 2:00 in the morning. I need to defend my family, but my God, can I incur the court costs? This is going to cost me money. This is going to cost me money from my job. Like, should this be a thing? That shouldn't In that moment in time, you defend your family and you figure everything else out later. But that shouldn't make you think that maybe I can't defend my family because I can't afford the court costs that are incurred to do so, even though I'm well within my legal rights. And that's what every person who carries a gun, everyone who owns a gun for self-defense, should focus on. And we've talked about getting a representation, an attorney, some kind of carry insurance. Like that's what that's all for as well. But my gosh, this almost, to a certain extent, what this does is this nullifies the need for any of that. As long as you were legally able to do what you do and you were legally able to defend yourself, then there should be no question about it. Freaking defend yourself. And there shouldn't be that little stutter step of, I'm legal, I'm correct, I'm within my rights, but is this going to destroy my life afterwards? This is a pretty serious bill. So I think it needs to move forward. I hope it moves forward. We're not too bad here in Idaho, but that would be a really big deal for Idaho if it moved forward. And from the looks of things, if it doesn't move forward in the next year or two, it may not. I don't have a lot of faith in Idaho within the next 4 or 5 years. I think Idaho's really going to change. So now's the time to do it. In fact, I'm really curious to see if Idaho visits all the rest of those bills. All the rest of those bills, they have a long list of them that they're trying to push through. And in so much that the Idaho's last year, they didn't see any of them. And so they refused to look at any of them. And so you never heard about any of them. And part of me, as I watch the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, no bad talk on them at all, right? I think it's the people, it's the legislators that are in place right now. They said they would do certain things, and they got in, and now they're not doing anything, or anything that they promised anyway. Just typical legislators, huh? Typical government officials, right? But what has happened is Idaho Second Amendment Alliance is now split off, and they have started this other freedom group that is going to go after anti-abortion and stuff like that, and they're going to help. They are going to help. What's the word I'm looking for? Raise money for that. I can't remember. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. It is kind of early this morning, but that's what they are going to be focused on as well as the gun rights. And so, what does that tell me? Well, if you own this, and there's nothing bad about the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. Here's the thing. If you can't get your state to see any pro-gun bills and they're held down, then guess what happens? Your whole business model is based on getting these pushed through. And you get these pushed through, and you make the citizens of the state of Idaho happy, and they donate money to the Idaho Second Amendment Foundation. And which funds your business and also pays you. You are taking a little bit of a salary from it. And that's not wrong at all. That is not wrong. You should take a salary from it. But if the Republicans aren't seeing any gun bills, then and no one is seeing any pro-gun stuff get passed for a year, then they are less likely to do what? To donate money to get gun bills passed. Because it looks like, and I'm not saying that this is true at all because I don't believe that it is, but it looks like that alliance or that group that they're donating money to, that lobbying organization, is not doing anything. And is just taking money and nothing's happening. And so they actually had to, when that group actually has to break apart or divide their attention now and open up other things that other people are focused on, not just gun rights, like anti-abortion and things like that, so they can do what? I'm only assuming they did that because why? Because they could probably get people to join over there and still make some money, right? This has to be somewhat of a profitable venture for them. I understand that, but that's a scary sign. That's a scary sign when that happens, because that tells me that they either, maybe they know something, maybe they see something that, hey, look, this might not be gun rights in Idaho, maybe they're not moving forward as quickly as they once had, or maybe they see something coming, or it's becoming too hard and difficult. Maybe that's a sign that Idaho is changing. That's something to be concerned about. And I probably just made that sound so confusing, but I mean, hit me up. I'll find the post where they talked about it, or I'll let you know exactly what's going on, and you can make your own. This is purely my opinions and the way I see things, and you could make your own, develop your own opinions and do your own thing and make your own decision on these. And I'll give you the information that I saw, and you can come to your own conclusions. Now, one more thing I wanted to touch on, and it might be a highly contested topic, not contested, but I get people that send me these things all the time, and I like people sending me stuff. By all means, send me stuff. And I think of the last handful of shootings we've had, and what is the common ground link. Now, I might catch some heat for this, but we all have a right to our own opinions, and my opinion is usually a little different than everybody's. So let's look at the last shootings that have been taking place, right? I think there's a whole list of them, actually. I don't have them right here in front of me, but I think the last 5 or 6, I could be more, could be less, have all been done by transgender, right? These transgender folks are the ones that have carried out these shootings and these horrible things. Now, is there a connection? Well, that is the connection. Now, why is that? Why would someone, and I know, back in the day, or not back in the day, but earlier this year, Trump came out and said, hey, look, I'm thinking about saying if you're transgender, you can't have guns because you're obviously a problem. Now, you can't come right out and do that. You can't do that. You can't stomp on someone's constitutional rights. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you've married a tree stump. I may think that's weird, but you can't take their rights away. You just can't do that. So let's look. Some people want to say that, they have a mental disease because a boy thinks he's a girl and a girl thinks he's a boy. That one could be. It could be, right? It could be. But until you can get a group of scientists that look at someone who thinks like that, and you can pinpoint this is what's caused this in the brain, and this is definitely some kind of disorder, and yada, 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 and you can look at that and you can pinpoint it, that is not a reason why to take someone's gun. You still can't justify that. And that's a slippery slope. Now, could it be this? Could it be the SSRI and the different medications and the hormone changing things that those people are taking, the transgenders are taking? Could it be that? Well, first of all, we have to find out if all of them were actually taking that. Just because someone dresses up, colors their hair funny, dresses up like a girl when they're a boy, or a boy when they're a girl, or whatever, just because they do that doesn't mean they're on a medication. I do believe, though, that if a medication will, just like the law says, if any kind of medication, changes you or harms your ability to reason and to act like prescription meds do, and, it creates a situation like you've been drinking or you're inebriated or changes your mental thought. Sure, I could agree with that. I could agree that if you take those medications, you probably shouldn't have a gun. In fact, that's what the law says to a certain extent. I don't know. Do these medications that these people take, do they do that? I have no idea. And do we even know if those shooters have been on medications? Now, I know that there's a lot of people that are homophobic, transphobic, all that stuff, and I know that there's people that believe that is not right and is absolutely horrible and it is a sin and all that stuff. And that's fine. Agree what you want to agree. And I know there's people that don't believe that either. And then I know that there's people like me that I'm like, do what you want to do. I really don't care. If it is a sin, if that's what makes you happy. If it's not, then don't. It doesn't matter to me. And so I'm not going to take one side or the other. And just because I'm saying this doesn't mean I support one side or the other. What I'm saying is I support someone's Second Amendment rights to be able to defend themselves. with knives, with guns, with whatever the law says that we can have. I am 100% okay with that. And I don't think anyone's rights should be put into jeopardy because of their sexual preference or whatever. Do I think maybe it's a little odd? Sure. But I do a lot of things that are a little odd to a lot of people. Until you can get science to say this is a problem, these people are wired wrong, or this medication changes their entire line of thought and makes them crazy, then we can't just go in and take guns from transgender, even though there seems to be a pattern. But we have to figure out, what is that, the pattern, or is there something more to it, or what is causing it? I'm going to throw this out there. This might be a smidge controversial too. If we're looking real hard at patterns, we can look at medications, if that's a thing. Some might be on it, some might not be. I have no idea. Maybe there's something wrong with the brain. I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I don't know. Maybe because it is so different, it is so outside the norm, that other people give them such a hard time, and they fight to take away their rights, and they're probably ostracized by their family and part of society, that takes its toll on someone. And I'm still not just using that to justify them going in and shooting people. I'm saying that maybe they need some more help. I mean, I don't know. I know that sounds not good, and I'm not trying to remain neutral per se, but this is my thoughts, and like, this is how I feel. I just think we have to be really careful about just taking people's rights away, because, yeah, we just do. I don't know how deep I want to get into this, because I could get myself into some trouble pretty easy. There's lots of people out there that struggle with PTSD, whether it be veterans or whatever, right? And I've seen people with PTSD get violent and say things and do things that weren't right. But no one all of a sudden says we need to make it so veterans don't get to have guns. No one said that. We just have to look at the cause for all these, and what is causing this. Is it medication? What is it? Before we just go in there and start ripping people's rights away, taking people's rights away from them. So there you go. That's what I got for you today. Hopefully we'll be back sooner than later. Thanks for listening. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. And there you go. There's your podcast for the week. Enjoy.